In this video, I'm going to be responding to Joe Rogan and Mick West, and I'm also going to formally challenge an individual to a debate. If you want to find out who that's going to be, I suggest you watch this whole video. A good portion of the following clips are going to be the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 1052, with guest Mick West.
And since that podcast, a bunch of people have pointed out to me that he is essentially, they're selling stock in a company.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you mean they pointed it out to you? I watched the whole interview maybe twice, and you were well aware they were selling stocks. So I don't know why you would need your audience to tell you that they're selling stocks, nor do I comprehend how learning that they're selling stocks equates in any way, shape, or form that somehow now the company is no longer legit. There are infinite numbers of companies that sell stocks, Mr. Rogan. Beyond that, even if there was something shady about how they're collecting stocks, that would not be evidence that it's not a legitimate company or they're not going to do what they say they're going to do. A company can be shady in the way they collect stocks, yet the essence of the company and what they're trying to accomplish can be completely legitimate. So don't conflate the two.
I mean, he keeps saying, stay tuned, things are going to happen.
Yeah, he said there's going to be some videos released.
Yeah, when did he say that?
Like nearly a month ago now.
I want to give you a little background on these videos that are going to be released. These are going to be videos that have never been declassified before except up until this point, and never has the US government declassified video footage from the highest level government cameras of UFOs coming into our atmosphere. This is a really big deal. These videos are very sensitive, and you can imagine how the government is going to be very careful and calibrated in how and when they release these videos. Every business out there sometimes delays what they promise they're going to bring to the table. So just because Tom DeLonge and his team have been slow to bring out these videos doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's a bunch of hogwash. Also, you're making a huge error of analysis when you focus on Tom DeLonge in a vacuum, as if To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science is just Tom DeLonge. No, it's really not. And are you being willfully ignorant, or is this just inconvenient for the assessment of this company that you want to dogmatically commit to, Mr. Rogan? There are 11 distinguished team members that I know of. 5 of them, by the way, currently have top secret clearance and currently consult for the US government alphabet agencies on matters of national security. So when Tom says these videos are going to be declassified, he is speaking for every team member in his company. They are a unified front. They all are in on it. They all have seen the information. In fact, Tom said in the interview with you, Mr. Rogan, that he has those videos in his possession. Do you think he is lying, Mr. Rogan? In the To the Stars Academy press conference, even Lou Elizondo said that they were going to release these videos from the highest level military systems, which would not be grainy, which would not be amateur, but would be high, exquisite footage of UFOs coming into our atmosphere. And Mr. Elizondo, may I remind you, Mr. Rogan, was the director for almost the past decade of a very sensitive division within the Pentagon whose task was to monitor advanced aerial threats coming into Earth's atmosphere. Here is a clip of Mr. Elizondo conveying the precise thing Tom DeLonge conveyed. I know you like to look at the whole company with tunnel vision on just Tom DeLonge, but I got news for you, Mr. Rogan. The company is a much more expansive than just Tom DeLonge. Roll it.
We are also planning to provide never-before-released footage from real U.S. government systems. Not blurry amateur photos, but real data and real videos.
Does that sound like a guy that is full of BS? Because I gotta be honest, that doesn't sound like a guy full of BS to me at all.
There was a lot of people that listened to that podcast that I saw on Twitter that thought that what he was saying was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And this is real. Those are the people that are going to donate.
Exactly.
Right. Now, is there a problem with that? Is there a problem with the Catholic Church? Because they're full of shit too.
Yeah.
Are you seriously comparing talking snakes and large boats housing every animal species on Earth and traversing the sea with the UFO phenomena that has been proven 100 times over? Are you seriously comparing these two? Religion is based on faith, where the UFO phenomena is based on evidence. Tons of it. There's really no comparison whatsoever. And there are no words that could emanate from your mouth, Mr. Rogan, that could erase the reality that on October 11th, a man named Lou Elizondo revealed to the world that he was the director of a program within the Department of Defense whose responsibility was to monitor unidentified aerial technology coming into our atmosphere, or UFOs. He also told the world that UFOs unequivocally exist. So let me ask you, Mr. Rogan, if UFOs are a bunch of BS, why the hell does the Department of Defense have a program that monitors them? And why the hell did the head of that program for the last 10 years convey to the world that UFOs unequivocally exist? You mull that over and get back to me, Mr. Rogan. To put what I said in perspective, here is what award-winning investigative journalist Leslie Kean has to say about that event. A message for my friends here. Folks, I'm concerned that some of you are missing the point. The head of a secret UFO program at the DoD has just come forward to confirm the existence of that program. Based on the work of this official program, he has stated for the world to hear that UFOs are unquestionably real. He left that program less than 2 weeks ago. This is as close to official disclosure as we have come since the close of Project Blue Book. It's big news.
However, when I was talking to him about all the events, and I was like, "Tell me what happened. You got a guy contacted you. Well, I can't say who. I can't say what it was. I can't tell you that. We can't get into that." That's all bullshit.
Yeah.
When someone starts talking like that, they're full of shit. He definitely seemed to be a combination of deceptive and delusional.
Just because someone cannot report who they talk to or the content of their conversation doesn't all of a sudden magically make it so that it's BS. People have conversations off the record all the time. How much more so is this a reality when you're talking with government entities like generals in the US military and people involved with big aerospace companies? Can you imagine that maybe it's even very plausible that they could have a conversation and the guy could be like, "Look, just between me and you, I want to tell you the following, but it's off the record." I mean, this is striking to you? Gives you suspicion that he's full of BS? Come on, have some critical thinking, for crying out loud. Mr. Rogan, have you ever had a conversation off the record that if I were to inquire about that conversation, you would say, "I can't tell you because it was a private conversation"? If so, is it rational for me to then reply, "Oh, when you can't tell me about a conversation you had, it must be BS"? Man, I'm not convinced with that kind of logic because it's not logical.
The slides that he used in the talk to illustrate, there was like an event of some UFO buzzing a aircraft carrier, and some fighter jets were going after it and they couldn't find it. And they put up some slides on the screen there which looked like a shiny silver penis flying around. And it was actually something that the type of thing we do on Metabunk is identify objects like that. So we figured out what this was, and it's actually a number 1 numerical helium balloon, like the digit 1.
Oh wow! Like someone's
Yeah.
like from a party.
Yeah, and I found like a bunch of other shots of the same thing.
So I looked at the evidence that Mr. West presented to make his case that the image or the slide shown at the To the Stars Academy press conference was not an actual photo of a UFO, as is claimed by the To the Stars Academy press conference, but is actually nothing more than a mylar balloon in the shape of a numerical 1. I was on the fence with his evidence because the problem was the photo that he shows, while similar in appearance to the shape of the UFO that buzzed the aircraft carrier, it still was different enough to where I just wasn't convinced. And how am I to know that the photo that he found on the rents.com website wasn't an actual UFO? Has that UFO been debunked? I just don't know. There's too many questions for me. But I will say this: if Mr. West is correct that the image shown at the To the Stars Academy press conference that they claim was a picture of the UFO that buzzed the aircraft carrier, if it indeed ends up being a numerical 1, then I would applaud and give Mr. West a round of applause, because that would be very messed up, and the To the Stars Academy employees would have a lot of explaining to do. That said, even if that was a hoax, simply a mylar balloon in the shape of a number 1, I will still argue that obviously whatever was taking place during that incident, which is actually referred to as the 2004 USS Nimitz incident, the aircraft carrier incident that he was referring to, obviously it wasn't a Mylar balloon because it was tracked on radar. It was doing all kinds of weird things like making a weird maneuver where it would get behind F-18s, it would evade F-18s, it would do very abrupt movements that even F-18s are not capable of doing. So obviously, within that incident, it was not a Mylar balloon. However, it's certainly possible that the To the Stars Academy team got a hold of a photograph that's nothing but a hoax. And if that's the case, I would applaud Mr. West. And that's really all I can say about that.
What's disturbing to me is that he's got this business that, you know, claims to be some sort of aerospace business, and he's involved in it with all these other people.
That's weird.
What's disturbing about this is he conveys he has some kind of aerospace business and that he's involved with people, and then Mr. West interrupted you right then. Were you about to say that he's involved with people that have no experience in the aerospace industry? Well, I have two words for you. Steve Justice, he was the director of advanced systems at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, which is the premier aerospace company for the U.S. military and probably the heaviestly funded aerospace company in the world. He was the number 2 guy right below the boss. Yeah, I think because of that, he can go in that direction of saying that he has an industry that is within the context of aerospace. Yeah, I think Mr. Rogan, I think he can do that. Moreover, he has said multiple times that he is going to be partnering, or at least attempting to partner with an aerospace company. For your sake and for your argument, I hope that never comes to pass, because your statement that you just said will not age well whatsoever if Tom DeLonge and his company connects in a significant way with a aerospace company beyond the way he's already connected in reference to Steve Justice.
Because the guy who's running that, I can't remember his name, Fortune or something like that, is like a real guy who worked at Lockheed Martin or somewhere on the Skunk Works.
Maybe started doing Adderall, started getting crazy.
Mr. West, of course you find it weird that the number 2 guy for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works is working for To the Stars Academy of Art and Science. You find it weird because it throws a wrench in your whole narrative that this company is full of BS. And of course, Mr. Rogan, you have to pull the Adderall joke that Mr. Justice lost his mind and got into drugs, because this also throws a wrench in your whole narrative that it's all BS and it won't amount to anything. I mean, after all, why wouldn't a number 2 guy for the biggest and most powerful aerospace company in the world join forces with Tom DeLonge's team if it's all a bunch of BS? So yes, it's convenient to make the little quip about drugs, isn't it, Mr. Rogan?
But that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about some kind of crap that warps the very nature of time and space itself, and kind of like rides a wave of a wormhole or something like that.
Yeah.
And this guy thinks that it's plausible. And all they have to do is kind of like try really, really hard. If they all put their heads together, and like this scientists do all this science a lot, and then these builders do their really good building based on these really good science they're going to get, then they'll get this flying craft.
Yeah.
But it's nonsense. Nothing's going to happen.
And they're going to put it together and they're going to do pieces. Mr. West, I don't think you're giving a fair characterization of what has been conveyed. Here is episode 1029 with Tom DeLonge on the Joe Rogan Experience, explaining who exactly is going to be involved in the construction of this craft. It's a lot more nuanced than you're making it out to be, Mr. West, so perhaps you should do a little more research prior to making such assertions. Roll it.
But it's expensive, and we got to work with the government, and we're going to have to work with major aerospace. For example, this one meeting I have coming up with a big name aerospace company is offering their material sciences division.
UFOs, bro. They're flying right above.
All right, I see.
To the stars.
Pew, 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 as if there's not mountains of evidence substantiating that UFOs are coming to our atmosphere. But let's ridicule this subject because somehow it makes us cool. Anyways, in the beginning of the video, I said that I would challenge someone to a debate. Mr. West, I challenge you to a debate. We can do it on my channel. We can do it as a live debate. We can have a moderator or no moderator. I'm confident that we'll both be very respectful to each other and very, very reasonable to each other and rational to each other. My intention is not to have gotchas. My intention is not to come out to be perceived as the more intelligent person or the bigger person or the more important person. My intention is to debate the subject with you as to whether there is enough evidence and data to substantiate or to compel a rational person to reach the conclusion that indeed there are unconventional and unexplained crafts of some nature coming into our atmosphere that simply cannot be explained through conventional means. That's simple. We don't have to, I won't debate whether they're alien or whether they're interdimensional or whether there's something else. Nope. The only thing that we would debate is there enough data and evidence to compel a rational person to believe that the UFOs exist, and is there so much evidence that it's actually irrational and dogmatic to be of the position that all of the myriad of incidences can be explained away by more conventional explanations. That would be our debate. Obviously, I would focus on the most highly corroborated incidences that have the most data and evidence, because with the ones that are not corroborated, we may agree that it's a bunch of BS. So I challenge you, Mr. West. I hope you will take me up on this challenge. I think it would be good for society to watch, because I think there should be more debates on this subject matter. I would only request that we wait a month from when we agree so that I can prepare for the debate, because I'm not going into this debate to prove that I'm a hot shot. I'm going into it to have further exploration as to whether it's true or not that I'm the rational one and you are indeed the dogmatic and irrational one, because you reject that the UFO phenomena exists and that it cannot be explained by conventional matters. Perhaps you will bring really great counter arguments and show me where I'm wrong and where I'm mistaken, and if that's the case, good. Or perhaps the converse will happen, and I trust that you would feel that that's also a good thing, because the most important thing is that the truth is realized, not that you can brag to others or that I can brag to others that I want to debate. So here's my formal challenge to you, Mick West. I hope you acquiesce, and I look forward to debating you on this amazing subject. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm pretty worn out from this video, so I'm just going to end it with a flute, and that's all there is to it. I bid you all a good day.